The office was too quiet that morning. That kind of quiet that hums low in your chest, like something's waiting to happen. The lights buzzed overhead, sharp and sterile, washing everything in that pale corporate glow. I could smell burnt coffee drifting from the break room, mixed with the faint scent of someone's vanilla hand lotion. It was early, too early for anyone to bother pretending to care yet. I liked that hour. When the floor's still half asleep, monitors still black, the city outside still deciding what kind of day it's going to be. Those moments felt like mine, private, almost sacred. Just me, my coffee, and the project that had carried my name, my hours, my heart for months. I took a sip, lukewarm already, and set it down beside the keyboard. The screen flickered awake, that soft blue glow painting my face. I typed the same password I'd typed every morning, hit enter, opened the shared drive, scrolled through the folders. My fingers moved fast. Confident. Click. Open. There it was, the final version. I leaned in, half smiling, until I saw it. The top right corner, where my name used to sit, clean, proud, unshakable. Gone. In its place. Sevens. Project lead. Tom Willis. Sevens. For a second, I didn't breathe. My stomach dropped like an elevator with a snapped cable. I blinked. Once, twice, 3 times, thinking maybe I opened the wrong file. Maybe someone copied the wrong version. My hand moved, almost shaking now, scrolling through every backup. Each one said the same thing. Tom Willis. Tom. God damn. Willis. The room felt smaller. The hum of the fluorescent light grew louder. The air itself turned heavier, pressing against my ribs. I could hear laughter down the hall. Someone talking too loud near the printer. But it felt distant, like the world had stepped away from me. It wasn't just a name missing. It was proof. Proof that I had been here. That I had built something. I stared at the screen, my reflection faint in the glass. Eyes wide, lips parted. Behind me, the office stretched, rows of desks, chairs that squeaked, the faint smell of toner and ambition. I'd spent months in this place, nights, weekends, rewriting slides, fixing data points, chasing perfection. Every decision, every late-night edit, every idea that made that project shine, all of it came from me. And now it was gone. Wiped clean like it was never mine. I whispered without realizing, the words slipping out like a breath. They think I won't notice. My voice sounded foreign, quieter, heavier. I took another sip of coffee, but it tasted bitter now. The memories started replaying themselves. The 2 a.m. Slack messages. The video calls with clients while my hair was tied up and my eyes were burning. Tom saying, "You're a lifesaver, Tisha." Sevens. Every time he smiled that slick smile, every time he said, "We're a team," like he meant it. He didn't mean it. He meant, "You do the work, I take the credit." I leaned back in my chair, pressing my fingers against my temples. My pulse was a steady drumbeat in my ears. Somewhere across the office, the air conditioner kicked on, a cold draft brushing against my skin. I stared at the monitor again, at his name where mine used to be, and I felt something shift inside me. Not rage. Not yet. Just clarity. I'd seen this before. Not just once, a dozen times. The woman who speaks up becomes difficult. Sevens. The one who leads becomes aggressive. Sevens. and the one who wins gets rewritten right out of the story. They never expect you to fight back. Not loud, not smart, not their way. My hand moved on its own, slow, deliberate. I opened a new folder, created a copy of the original files, renamed it quietly. Draft, T. Monroe. Sevens, a small act of defiance, invisible but real. On the reflection of the monitor, I saw my face again, still, but something new behind the eyes. Not shock anymore. Not hurt. Something steadier. I whispered again, just to myself, like a promise. Sevens. Not this time. Sevens. I let the words hang there in the quiet, almost like they belonged to the air. Outside the window, sunlight finally broke through the blinds, slicing across my desk. It landed on the edge of the screen, right where my name used to be. The glow was sharp, white, relentless, like it was trying to remind me who I was. I smiled, small but real. They erased my name once. But the truth always knows who wrote it. And I wasn't done writing yet. Would you walk away or fight back? Tell me in the comments. The writing keeps the natural cadence of a Black American storyteller, restrained, sharp, quietly powerful. It unfolds inside a tense meeting, thick with office politics, body language, and coded behavior. Every detail, light, sound, gesture, contributes to the feeling of betrayal and slow, strategic awakening. The conference room smells like coffee and nerves. Too bright, too cold, that kind of light that makes everyone's skin look tired, everyone's smiles look fake. The blinds are half open, letting stripes of morning sunlight cut across the table like white knives. Someone laughs, short, awkward, as chairs scrape against the floor. Laptops open. The air fills with clicks, keyboard taps, paper rustles. I can feel the room shifting into performance mode. Tom's already there, at the head of the table. His tie is too tight, his grin too polished. The kind of man who mistakes charm for leadership. He's standing beside the screen where my slides glow. My slides, the design I spent weeks perfecting. The color palette I chose, the phrasing I fought for, the data I built from scratch. He taps the remote, and the title fills the wall. Sevens, Project Phoenix, Operations Revamp Initiative. He starts talking, his voice sliding over the words like butter on hot bread. We wanted to create something scalable, something human-centered. My team put in long nights to bring this to life. Sevens, my team. Not hers. His. My name doesn't leave his mouth once. I keep my face neutral. Expression steady. The trick is not to flinch. The trick is to let them think you're still the quiet storm they can walk around. My notebook is open in front of me. The pen rests between my fingers. I'm not taking notes. I'm studying the room. Across the table, Amanda from finance nods like a bobblehead, pretending she understands the operations model. Derek's tapping his pen. Too fast. HR lady, Marcia, keeps glancing at Tom with that approving smile, the kind people give to a man who says the right things at the right volume. I catch my reflection in the glass wall, soft, composed, silent. Inside, though, my thoughts are racing. Every word he says lands like a pinprick. Every laugh around the table feels like static in my ears. I breathe in through my nose, slow. Out through my mouth, slower. Play it cool, I whisper under my breath, barely audible. Let him dig his own hole. Sevens. Tom flips to another slide, the one with the key data model, the core of the entire project. It's mine. The formula, the structure, the logic, all mine. He waves at it like a magician showing off a trick he bought online. This model will save us 17% in workflow redundancy, he says. It's elegant. It's efficient. Something I personally pushed for. Sevens. My jaw tightens. I press my thumb against my pen until it clicks. He didn't even understand the formula when I showed it to him. He asked me twice to simplify the language. Sevens. And now he's the visionary. The projector hums. Someone types a note. The smell of stale coffee fills the room again. I start to notice the details, Tom's eyes flicking toward me every few sentences. A quick glance, then away. He's waiting for me to react. That's the thing about men like him. They need you to validate their theft. If you stay calm, they get nervous. So I stay calm. He keeps talking, pacing now, one hand in his pocket, other gesturing at the slides like he's conducting an orchestra. I tilt my head slightly, studying him. The rhythm of his speech is practiced. Too smooth. He rehearsed this. Probably in front of his mirror, probably with my words on his tongue. The meeting drags. Questions start. Compliments. Impressive, Tom. Sevens. Really strong direction. Sevens. This could be a model for the other divisions. Sevens. I smile politely when someone looks at me, but inside, it burns. Say my name, I think. Just once. Sevens. But he won't. He never will. Halfway through, he mispronounces one of the technical terms, a word I coined. He pauses, clears his throat, corrects himself awkwardly. My lips twitch. Small victory. Quiet satisfaction. No one else notices, but I do. I glance at the glass wall again. The reflection shows a dozen faces, glowing screens, hands moving, heads nodding. It's like watching a movie I've already seen, and I know how it ends. At least, how it used to end. But not this time. I lean forward slightly, voice calm but steady. Tom, I say, just loud enough. Could you pull up slide 14? The one with the predictive model? 7. He freezes for half a breath. The remote stutters in his hand. He wasn't expecting me to speak. He nods quickly. Of course. Slide 14 appears. The model fills the wall. Everyone leans in. I let the silence stretch just a moment too long, enough to make people glance between us. Then I smile, warm but sharp. This one was tricky, I say. Remember how we debated which input variables to remove? The correlation issue? Sevens. I emphasize a small, simple word. But it lands like a dart. Tom nods, forced smile. Ah, yes, yes, a great discussion. Marcia from HR tilts her head, curious now. Amanda scribbles something. Tom fumbles through the next sentence. I lean back, pen tapping softly against my notebook, pretending to listen. Inside, my mind is already moving ahead. I'm thinking about the email chain, the timestamps, the versions I saved, the proof sitting quietly in a cloud folder, untouched. I know where the bodies are buried. The meeting ends with polite applause, the kind that fills space but means nothing. Chairs slide back, pens click, laptops shut. The air shifts from performance to routine again. Tom claps his hands. Great energy, team. Let's keep this momentum. Sevens. I smile, gather my things, slow and deliberate. My fingers brush against the edge of my notebook. Smooth leather, embossed initials. T. M. Proof. Small, solid, mine. As people file out, Tom steps closer. Good meeting, he says, lowering his voice. Thanks for staying cool. Sevens. I meet his eyes, brown against blue. He expects gratitude or silence. Instead, I give him a small nod and a line that lands soft but cuts deep. I like seeing my work shine, I say, even when someone else's name is on the slide. Sevens. He laughs awkwardly, like he didn't hear the blade underneath. I walk away before he can respond. In the hallway, the light is warmer, softer. I catch my reflection in the glass again. Same face, but something new in the eyes. Calm, controlled, certain, I whisper to myself, so low only I can hear. Sevens. Keep smiling. Let them think they're winning. Sevens. The elevator doors open. The metal reflects back a faint image of me, shoulders straight, coffee cup in hand, not broken, not erased. The doors close with a quiet click. Inside the small mirrored box, I finally let the silence breathe again. They think this is the story. Sevens. They haven't seen the rewrite. Sevens. And as the elevator descends, the hum of machinery fills the space, rhythmic, steady. Sevens, like the sound of a plan beginning to move. Be honest. What would you do if it was you sitting in that room? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear you. The office always changed after dark. The light softened. The noise thinned out. You could hear the building breathe again. The air vents whispered in the ceiling. Somewhere down the hall, the cleaning crew dragged a trash bin across tile, slow, metallic, rhythmic. Most screens were black now, but mine still glowed, that soft blue that makes your skin look colder than it feels. It was 8:47 p.m. The others had gone home hours ago. That was the plan. I liked the building this way. Empty, honest. During the day, people wore masks. Smiles, compliments, politics. But at night, it was just me, the hum of machines, and the truth. I took another sip of coffee, lukewarm, burnt, and cracked my knuckles. The screen flickered. The cursor blinked. Blink. 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 Like it was daring me to begin. All right, I whispered. Let's dance. Sevens. The project file sat neatly in the shared drive. Tom's name at the top of every one. But underneath, buried in metadata, was mine. Invisible, but alive. People underestimate what you can hide in code, what you can leave behind in the spaces between numbers and syntax. And I'd always been patient with details. Patience is the weapon they never see coming. I opened the first file, Phoenix V4 Final, TX. The same one he presented. The same one he bragged about. My fingers moved slow, deliberate. Click, inspect, properties, metadata. There it was, my initials, faint, embedded deep. He hadn't even noticed. Of course he hadn't. I smiled. You really should have learned to look closer, Tom. Sevens. I started building what I called the mirror, a hidden layer of proof, quiet and untouchable. Every line of data, every timestamp, every revision logged, encrypted, preserved. But not where anyone would think to look. The office lights buzzed above me. The screen reflected faintly in the glass wall, the ghost of my face hovering over the code. The city outside shimmered in neon and shadow. Chicago after hours, restless, beautiful, awake. I moved through folders like a ghost in my own house. I left digital fingerprints in the corners no one cleans, invisible until you know where to shine the light. Each click had rhythm. Each command had weight. I could feel the muscle memory guiding me, quiet confidence in every keystroke. There's a certain music to creation. Even revenge has a melody if you listen close enough. I wasn't just saving data, I was composing proof. The logs showed who opened what, when. Every time Tom downloaded a file, every time he renamed something, it left a trace. And I collected them all, carefully, neatly, like pearls on a string. My notebook lay open beside me. I sketched lines, notes, timestamps, small arrows connecting each moment like a map. It looked messy, but it wasn't. It was choreography. I built the backup script next. Sevens, a small sequence of code designed to copy the entire project structure into a hidden cloud folder, time-stamped and secure. It wasn't company property anymore. It was evidence. The script blinked alive, line after line scrolling across the screen, fast and clean. The light from the monitor washed my hands pale. For a second, it looked like my fingers were glowing. My reflection in the glass caught my eye again. I studied it, stillness outside, movement inside. That faint smile, not pride, not arrogance, control. Stay calm, I murmured. Quiet hands, sharp mind. Sevens. The system pinged softly as the backup completed. I watched the progress bar crawl to 100%. When it finished, I exhaled, slow, satisfied. But I wasn't done. I created a hidden layer in the presentation, a single transparent text box buried behind the company logo, invisible to the naked eye, but real. Inside it, a single line of code, a hyperlink that led to the hidden data logs, password protected. It was poetry, in a way. An invisible signature. My name, waiting in silence for the right moment to speak. I sat back, staring at the screen, letting the glow paint the room. The hum of the air vent mixed with the faint ticking of the wall clock. Somewhere, a printer came alive for no reason, one of those random midnight noises that makes the office feel haunted. But the only ghost here was mine, the one they thought they'd erased. Every detail was perfect, every step precise. I wasn't rushing. I wanted to savor it. There's a power in knowing something they don't, in walking through the same hallways every day with a secret humming under your skin. They smile at you in meetings, call you team player, while your plan is already breathing behind the glass. The first part of revenge isn't rage. It's silence. Silence with purpose. I saved the file, encrypted the drive, closed the lid of my laptop. The faint click echoed louder than it should have. I liked that sound. Final, certain. For a moment, I just sat there, feeling the room settle. The air had weight again, but a different kind. Mine. I looked around. The empty desks, the chairs left askew, the faint coffee stains on white mugs, all these small traces of people who'd never know what really happened tonight. The reflection of the city in the window blurred as I leaned closer. Skyscrapers shimmered like circuit boards. It looked almost beautiful. Sevens, like the world itself was running on code I could rewrite. I whispered softly, barely moving my lips. Sevens, you wanted credit, Tom. You'll get it. Sevens. A beat of silence. Just not the kind you planned for. Sevens. I turned off the monitor. The screen went black. For a split second, my reflection hovered there, sharp, defined, alive, before dissolving into the dark. The hum of machines continued. The building exhaled. And I walked out, heels clicking against the floor in slow, steady rhythm, like punctuation at the end of a secret sentence. Outside, the night air felt cooler, cleaner. The city lights winked like they knew something. And I did too. Some truths don't need to be shouted. They just need to be timed right. Morning came too bright. The kind of light that feels too clean for the things you're hiding. The elevator hummed its way up, floor by floor, and I could feel the air change, from quiet to that office buzz again. Chatter, footsteps, printer sounds, the fake laughter of people who live in polite competition. When the doors opened, the smell hit first: coffee, perfume, toner, stress. That usual Monday blend. I stepped out like it was any other day, like nothing had shifted. But everything had. I walked past Tom's office. The glass wall reflected the room inside, him standing too tall, voice too loud. He was already talking to the director, gesturing with that same hand he used when he stole my credit. He had a presentation open on his screen, my slides, rehearsing lines that used to belong to my voice. I whispered under my breath. Go ahead. Sell it. The hum of keyboards and the faint tap of heels filled the air. Screens flickered. Someone laughed too loudly near the copier. The hum of the AC was steady, cold. I took my seat, opened my laptop, and waited for the system to boot. The same login screen, the same hum, the same company wallpaper that looked like diversity but felt like glass. Inside, my pulse was steady. Too steady. That's what control feels like when it's earned. Emails started pouring in, meeting invites, status updates, reminders. One from HR about leadership presentation. Phoenix project recognition. Sevens. That word, recognition, made me almost laugh. Almost. I sipped my coffee and watched people move around like pieces on a board. Every conversation, every casual glance was a cue. People don't realize how loud silence is when you start listening. Janice from accounting walked by, gave me a tight smile, polite but cautious. I could see her eyes flick to Tom's office and back to me. She knew something. Or maybe she just felt it. Women like her always do. The fluorescent light buzzed above, sharp and steady. It made everything look cleaner than it really was, like it was bleaching out the truth. Tom came out of his office, tie too tight, voice too cheerful. "Morning, team," he said, clapping his hands together. Fake warmth. The kind that smells like nervous cologne. He started small talk about the presentation, how big today was for the department, how we made it happen. Every "we," he said, landed like a soft insult. But I smiled. Let him keep talking, I told myself silently. Every word is a rope. 7s. The day moved slow. I answered emails, sat in on calls, kept my voice calm, my face neutral. But every now and then, my eyes drifted to that glass office, watching him rehearse, watching him practice my rhythm. By noon, the tension was alive in the air, unspoken, invisible, electric. It had a pulse. I could feel it in the way people walked, the way laughter cut too short. Even the lights seemed to flicker differently, sharper, impatient. During lunch, I sat by the window, pretending to scroll through my phone. Outside, the city moved, cars crawling like thoughts in traffic, sky turning that washed-out silver before rain. My reflection hovered over the glass, faint but focused. Inside that reflection, I could see the meeting room behind me. Tom was setting up his laptop. The screen glowed, showing the first slide. My slide. The logo at the top corner, where I had buried the proof, the invisible signature. I could almost hear the file hum with quiet potential. Patience, I whispered. Timing makes the truth louder. 7s. The HR director walked in, followed by 2 VPs. Then the cameras. They were recording this one, internal training footage for leadership inspiration. Oh, the irony. By 2, Zeripa. The team gathered. Chairs scraped against the floor, the sound crisp and sharp. The projector buzzed to life. Someone clicked a pen too many times. Someone else whispered about promotion rumors. I watched from across the table. Tom stood near the front, adjusting his jacket. He smiled like he'd already won something. Hands open, eyes bright, too bright. I studied his body language, the tiny tremor in his right hand, the way his left foot shifted slightly backward when he lied. Confidence on the surface, panic underneath. I'd seen that dance before. He began his pitch. The words rolled out, polished and empty. Buzzwords about efficiency, teamwork, innovation. Each slide glowed behind him like a stage light, each one carrying my fingerprints. I watched faces react, polite nods, forced smiles, the occasional impressed glance. They thought they were watching leadership, but they were watching theft. And they didn't even know they were seconds away from a revelation. The meeting went on. Minutes stretched, my patience thinning but precise. Every word he said brought us closer to the trigger. That one click, that one transition slide where the code would unfold. He didn't know what he was walking toward. He thought he was performing, but he was walking into evidence. Almost there, I murmured. Keep going, Tom. 7s. Someone passed around water bottles. The sound of caps twisting filled the silence between his sentences. The projector fan whirred louder. Outside, thunder grumbled in the distance, low, patient, waiting. Then the lights flickered, just slightly. Everyone paused for half a second, enough for tension to find a pulse. He kept talking. He didn't notice, but I did. My screen was open, hidden behind a spreadsheet. In one corner, my system monitor blinked. The file was syncing. Live. Everything he showed on screen, every transition, every click, was feeding the internal system logs. And those logs were linking directly to my hidden proof. It was like watching dominoes fall in silence. Perfect sequence. Perfect timing. I leaned back slightly, crossing my legs, expression calm. My heartbeat was steady, my breath measured. But inside, the thrill started to hum. Not rage, not revenge, just justice, the clean, quiet kind. They'll know, I whispered under my breath. Not yet, but soon. Sevens. Someone asked him a question about the data validation model. He stumbled, just slightly. I noticed. Everyone else smiled through it. He clicked to the next slide. Sevens, and the company logo glowed in the corner. The invisible text, my signature, quietly alive beneath it. I smiled, just a small one. The kind you hide behind a sip of water. Outside, the thunder rolled again, louder this time, like the sky was waiting for its cue. And I knew, sevens, when the time came, the storm wouldn't just be outside. It would be right here, in this room, in every face that had ever doubted what I was capable of. And when it hit, sevens, it would sound exactly like truth. You won't believe what happens next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Sevens. By the next morning, the air in the office felt different. Not colder, not warmer, just heavier, like the building could sense something was coming. I walked in early. Not too early. Just early enough to seem dedicated, not suspicious. My heels echoed down the hallway, sharp, steady, measured. Each step sounded like a countdown. The glass walls reflected slivers of the sunrise, soft orange brushing against stainless steel and whiteboards full of half-baked ideas. The hum of the HVAC filled the silence between my breaths. The smell of burnt coffee drifted from the break room, as it always did. But today, I didn't need caffeine. I had purpose. My desk was the same, neat, neutral, nothing personal. Just the way I liked it. It made it easier to disappear when you needed to. I opened my laptop. The familiar boot chime rang out, small and bright, cutting through the morning quiet. The login screen glowed blue. Password. Enter. The machine woke up like it knew what was coming. The desktop loaded. A dozen icons, each one exactly where it should be. At the bottom corner, a single text file. Proof. Vince. Hidden in plain sight. I double-clicked. Inside, a simple command string. One press, and everything would unfold. The internal logs, timestamps, metadata, backup signatures, all syncing live to the company's transparency server. Not as an act of rebellion, as an act of truth. I didn't need to expose him. I just needed to let the system do it. The clock on my screen read 8, 17 a.m. I had 43 minutes until the all-hands meeting, the one HR labeled Phoenix Project Recognition. Leadership in action. Even the name was a punchline now. I opened the system console, fingers hovering just above the keys. My heartbeat matched the blinking cursor. Absence. 1, 2, 1, 2. Steady. Intentional. Outside, the city was waking up, car horns in the distance, tires against wet pavement, the muffled rhythm of a city that never cared what burned beneath its skyline. I wasn't nervous. Not anymore. Nerves belong to the unprepared. This was something else, a quiet electricity humming just under my skin. Not anger. Not revenge. Alignment. Stay calm, I whispered. Let the truth walk itself out. sevens. The plan was simple. When Tom opened his final presentation file in front of leadership, the one he'd labeled Final V6, my code would activate. Not loud, not flashy, just a quiet redirection of ownership data and edit history, displayed right there on the projector screen. A digital confession written in his own ambition. I tested the sequence one last time. The screen flickered. The cursor blinked. The code purred like something alive. A small smile crept up before I could stop it. Every keystroke had been written with patience. Every variable named with care. I had rewritten my erasure into evidence. The office began to fill. 19 footsteps, chatter, the thud of chair wheels. The ordinary rhythm of another workday, completely unaware of the storm about to bloom in its center. Janice passed by again, balancing her coffee and folders. She gave me a look, curious, hesitant, like she could sense I was holding something unspoken. She wasn't wrong. The hum of fluorescent light buzzed above me. I could see its reflection ripple across my laptop screen, bending with each movement of my hands. It looked like energy itself was watching. Emails began to ping. HR reminder. Meeting link. Calendar alert. 30 minutes. I took a breath, deep, deliberate. The kind that fills every corner of you before you move forward. My reflection in the glass wall stared back, calm, focused, grounded. She looked ready. She looked like someone who'd waited too long to be quiet any longer. The others gathered near the meeting room, chatting about lunch plans and metrics like the world wasn't about to shift. I walked toward them, slow and certain. My shoes tapped rhythm on the polished floor, echoing softly between laughter and screens. The meeting room was cold. Always too cold. A corporate trick, keep people uncomfortable enough to stay alert. But not me. I thrived in chill. Cold made me sharper. The projector warmed up with a low hum. The lights dimmed. Reflections danced across the glass table, distorted faces, shapes, colors blending. It looked like we were already inside the storm's eye. Tom stood near the front again, jacket crisp, hair too perfect. He glanced my way, gave a nod that was more habit than kindness. I nodded back, the kind that says, "Go ahead." "Your turn? Showtime?" I murmured under my breath. As he plugged in his laptop, the cables clicked like the locking of a safe. His voice carried that same bright tone he always used when pretending he wasn't afraid. He made a small joke, something about how he hadn't slept all week working on this, and a few people laughed. Not me. I watched his hands, the way he hovered just a second too long before pressing the power button. That hesitation. That's where truth lives. The screen flickered. The company logo filled the wall in light and motion. Behind that logo, my signature slept, waiting. 22 minutes. He began the intro. The rhythm was the same, the buzzwords predictable. But my focus wasn't on his words anymore. It was on timing, when the slides would shift, when the system would sync, when the truth would find its voice. Each transition moved us closer. Each click of his remote echoed through the room like footsteps on a bridge about to give way. The VPs nodded. HR smiled. Janice took notes, her pen trembling slightly. I sat there, calm, unblinking, every muscle aligned with patience. "Almost," I whispered. He clicked again. The cursor jumped. The screen stuttered, just a tiny flicker. My pulse matched it. A brief silence fell, thin as glass. He didn't notice. No one did. But I knew. The system was alive now. The metadata was syncing to the cloud, feeding the logs, pulling everything he thought he owned into light. The chain reaction had started, invisible but irreversible. I leaned forward slightly, elbows on the table, eyes fixed on the screen. Not with anger, but with clarity, with purpose. Every lie has an expiration date, and this one was seconds away from spoiling. The hum of the projector deepened. Outside, clouds gathered, dark, low, like they'd been waiting too. 15 minutes. The next slide would trigger the reveal. It wasn't dramatic. No fireworks, no alarms. Just a quiet shift of data tags that would replace his name with mine. The edit history would unfold automatically, projected large enough for everyone to see. Truth, written in pixels. I sat back, crossed my legs, and folded my hands. Every detail had been calculated. The timing, the sync, even the color contrast on the slides. When the change came, it would look like destiny. I could feel my heartbeat in my fingertips. Soft, steady, patient. The way it feels right before lightning hits. I glanced at my reflection in the glass again. Same calm expression. But in the eyes, something sharper. Not pride. Certainty. "Let's finish this," I whispered. Tom clicked the next slide. The company logo glowed again, brighter this time. He took a breath to speak, and I smiled, just barely, because I knew. Sevens, in exactly 1 breath's time. Sevens. The truth was about to speak louder than all of them. If you've ever been overlooked or underpaid, this part's for you. And if you feel that, hit that. Sevens. The moment came quiet. It always does. Truth doesn't shout. It arrives. Tom stood in front of the room, polished, confident, a salesman of stolen brilliance. The projector light washed over him, cutting sharp across his face, shadowing the corners of his mouth. He was saying something about vision, about collaboration, about our journey. Sevens. All words that used to mean something before they passed through his mouth. Behind him, the next slide loaded. The company logo gleamed white against a deep blue background. Clean, corporate, harmless, until it moved. A flicker, barely visible, a blink of digital hesitation. Then, the text beneath the logo began to shift. Not a glitch. A rewrite. Author. Tisha Monroe. Sevens. It appeared clean and deliberate. The room fell silent, just half a second late, the kind of silence that means the brain is still catching up to what the eyes already know. Tom froze mid-sentence. The word leadership died halfway out of his mouth. He blinked once, then twice, like he could unsee it if he just tried hard enough. What's that?" the director asked, leaning forward. Tom's hand trembled slightly as he adjusted the remote. He clicked again, desperate, hoping the next slide would save him. But the next one said the same thing. Created by Tisha Monroe. Sevens, last modified by Tisha Monroe. Sevens, contributors. N.A. Sevens. It wasn't dramatic. It was clean, precise. Corporate truth, formatted in 12-point Arial. A quiet murmur rippled through the room. Chairs shifted. Someone exhaled sharply. The sound of pen caps clicking filled the space like nervous applause. The HR director's smile faltered. The CEO leaned back, eyebrows raised, not angry, just calculating. He turned his gaze toward me. Our eyes met through the reflection on the glass wall. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Tom fumbled. His face flushed red, then pale. He laughed too loudly. Must be a formatting error, he said, voice cracking on the word error. He clicked again. Another slide. Another line of code quietly bloomed in the corner. Sevens. Log history. User to Monroe. Sevens. Timestamp. 2. 13A. Full creation sequence. Sevens. A gasp. Then another. The kind of collective sound that happens when denial starts to collapse. I stayed still. Hands folded. Face calm. Inside, the pulse of victory was slow and deep. Not excitement, not vengeance. Relief. That's not possible, Tom stammered. It is, I whispered. The CEO leaned forward, his voice even. Tom, he said, are you saying Tisha's name appears by accident in the system metadata of your presentation? Tom opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The air conditioning hummed above us, steady, merciless. The projector's fan whirred like a heartbeat. He tried again. I must have imported the wrong template. Sevens. His hand gripped the table's edge. Sweat gathered along his hairline. The light from the screen reflected off his glasses. Sharp, sterile, unkind. I watched him unravel, detail by detail. The fake calm in his voice. The way his left foot tapped, trying to find rhythm. The quick glance toward HR, begging for rescue. But no one moved. The silence stretched long and clean. Even the fluorescent lights seemed to hum louder, filling the space his confidence used to occupy. Then the CEO turned to me. Is that accurate, Tisha? 7. I didn't rush my answer. Rushing is for liars. I glanced at the screen, at the line of my name shining like proof, then back at him. Yes, I said softly. It is. Sevens. No drama. No tears. Just truth. We'll need to verify that, HR murmured. You can, I replied. The system logs will match the timestamps. They always do. Sevens. The director opened her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. Everyone leaned in, the glow of her screen casting small blue halos across every face. The silence broke with small sounds, the click of keys, the creak of chairs, the steady hum of the projector still casting my name like a brand across the wall. Then she stopped typing. Her face shifted, one small movement at a time. First confusion, then recognition, then something close to awe. She looked up. She's right. A single sentence, but it hit the room like thunder. Tom's shoulders slumped. The hand holding the remote lowered to his side. The sound of it hitting the table was small, but it echoed. He looked at me then, not angry, just hollow. The realization sinking in that the game he thought he was winning had already been over. You set me up, he whispered. I tilted my head slightly. No, I said. You just built your house on my work. Sevens. The CEO exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath the whole time. His eyes stayed on me a moment longer, studying, calculating. Then he nodded once, small, deliberate. Tisha, he said, I think we should talk about your role moving forward." The HR director smiled, nervous, almost apologetic. The rest of the room looked anywhere but at Tom. I sat there, still, the light from the projector washing over my face. The hum of the building filled the silence. Computers, air vents, distant phones. Normal sounds for an unnormal moment. And in the middle of it all, I felt calm. Not triumphant, not cruel, just balanced. The kind of calm that comes from finally being seen, not because you demanded it, but because you proved it. Outside the glass walls, the storm had started. Rain streaked down the windows, catching the light, turning it into rivers of gold and silver. It looked like the sky was applauding. I whispered softly, just for me. "Sevens. Say my name now." Sevens. Tom didn't look up. He didn't have to. Everyone else already had. The CEO ended the meeting early. People gathered their notes in silence, chairs scraping softly across the floor. No one made eye contact with him, but a few met mine. Quick, quiet glances that said we saw. When the room finally emptied, I stayed seated for a moment, just listening. The low hum of machines, the echo of footsteps fading down the hall, the faint buzz of rain against glass. The projector light dimmed, and for a second, my name glowed alone in the dark. Ibvens, Tisha Monroe. Sevens, like a pulse. I smiled. Not wide, just enough. Then I whispered, "Sevens, erase that." Sevens. And walked out. They didn't fire him. Not right away. Corporate justice never moves fast. It moves in silence, through meetings, memos, and carefully worded restructuring. By Monday, his name was off the project. By Friday, his desk was empty. No one said a word, but everyone knew. I didn't celebrate. I didn't have to. The truth had already done the work. Some people came by my desk that week, quiet, awkward visits, little nods, small smiles. A few whispered, "Good for you." Sevens. Others said nothing, but their eyes said thank you. HR sent me a formal apology. The CEO called me into his office, offered a new opportunity. And he talked about diversity, leadership, vision, the kind of words that sound heavy but often mean light. But this time, I listened differently. Because this time, I knew my worth didn't live in their language. I'd already reclaimed my name. The office felt different after that. Not louder, just aware. People started catching themselves. The jokes, the tone, the small things they used to let slide. One afternoon, I heard someone in the hallway correct a colleague. Sevens. "Hey, maybe don't call her aggressive." Sevens. I smiled from my office, just a small smile. Change had started, not from a seminar, not from a memo, from one moment of truth that refused to stay buried. A month later, HR asked me to lead a new internal training. Sevens, language and bias. The power of words in the workplace. I said yes, but I didn't write a deck. I told a story. I told them about the night I found my work erased, about the smell of coffee, the hum of the lights, the quiet rage that felt like electricity under my skin, about how silence can be strategy, and how patience, when you're underestimated, becomes your sharpest weapon. They listened, not like employees, like witnesses. When I finished, the room stayed quiet for a long time. Then someone whispered, "Sevens." That's the kind of story that changes people. Sevens. Maybe it will. Maybe it already has. Sometimes, late at night, when the office is empty and the city glows like circuitry outside the glass, I walk past the conference room where it all happened. The screen's blank now. No light, no sound, but I can still see it. My name flickering against the blue. Proof that even in systems built to erase us, we can still leave our mark. I touch the glass and whisper, "Sevens. You tried to make me invisible." Sevens. Then I smile. "But you made me unforgettable." Sevens. These days, I still work hard, still speak soft, still lead with grace. But when someone calls me too much, too confident, too direct, too ambitious, Sevens, I just laugh, because I know what that really means. It means they've never seen power in this skin before, and now they have. Fade out. Office lights dim. The hum of machines continues, steady, calm, unbothered. Her voice, one last time. Sevens. My name is Tisha Monroe. I was called aggressive. I was called emotional. But what I really was, Sevens, was right. Sevens. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this story. If it spoke to you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us who we are.